This is the outside of my garage door. You may notice the garage floor slab extends out past the garage door a good 12 inches. As a result, the outside portion absorbs cold air in the winter and transfers that cold energy into the heated shop. My plan to solve this is to install some sort of thermal insulation and protective flashing. Let's get to it. So what I have here is a large piece of waterproof noise insulation for cars. It has a reflective front and a peel and stick adhesive backing. It cost around $40 on Amazon for this 5 foot by 39 inch piece, which works just fine as the opening of my garage is 10 feet. So the first step is going to be cutting 2 strips out that will go from under the door to around the front face of the slab. To cut these strips, I marked my distances with a Sharpie, laid a piece of straight melamine on top, and used my utility knife to cut through. This proved to be somewhat difficult as the blade wanted to gum up with very sticky black foam backing. So after checking outside, I may have cut my pieces a little bit short. So what I'm going to do is cut a couple narrow strips to be attached to the front of the slab first. To attach these strips, I simply peeled off the protective backing and lowered the strips in the gap between the driveway and the garage slab. I pressed with my fingers where I could fit them, but I had to use a dowel to press the adhesive down where it was too narrow for my fingers. Before attaching the big strips, I marked a line where the back of the garage door will come down, as this will be how far back the insulation will go. From there is just a careful game of taking off the backing and laying the piece perfectly along the pencil line, as this stuff does not move once stuck in place. I pressed firmly all over to ensure adhesion once laid in place, and then finally bent the edge over the front and pressed it down with the help of a dowel. The other side was exactly the same, besides needing a little trimming with scissors around the door trim before pressing down. For protecting the soft insulation, I bought this roll of 18-inch wide by 10-foot long white on one side aluminum flashing. I first unrolled the flashing onto a 2x10 board, then clamped both ends after using my combination square to set an offset of 3 inches from the edge. I started the bend by just using my hands to push down over the wooden edge. This led me to try my rubber mallet, but this basically sucked. I then tried to use a board with an inside 90 cut out of it and dragged it along the edge. This worked great, and I would highly recommend this simple way to bend flashing. I then brought the flashing outside and laid it in place so I could mark and cut the flashing to fit around the door trim. This was easy enough to do with just scissors, cut 2 lines, and bending over a flap. I pushed the front edge down in the gap and trimmed the other side in the same way. I then lowered the garage door onto the flashing while making sure it was pushed back and tight against the front edge. With the door holding the flashing in place, I drilled 4 holes for 4 2-inch Tapcon screws spaced evenly in the front edge to hold the flashing in place. Since the garage door will be down 99% of the time, I didn't find it necessary to adhere the back edge in any way. Some white caulking was then added around the 2 side edges before adding a small piece of white flashing to each side to cover up the little bit of insulation sticking out. These small pieces were then held in place with copious amounts of caulking, and this project is complete. There's no way to know how successful this project will be in terms of warmth retained inside the shop until it gets colder, but I needed to get this done before that time comes, and I'm very optimistic that this will help in heating the garage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.